So here's a quick tutorial on how to work out which symbols are on which reels and how they pay out. Now, as you can see, mine do have symbols, but yours won't have any symbols. You also said yours is a 4-reel disc, but it works on the same principle. Now, at the end of the reel bundle, you'll see that you have the payout discs. These have holes in. Now, the way that these work is that the holes on the outer perimeter of the disc are the low pay symbols, such as cherry, and the further you go in, the higher the payout. So your jackpot, your barbell, your fruit gum, your sevens, or the higher paying jackpot symbols would be represented by the inner holes in the disc. Now, what you do is, first of all, you have a look at your award pay card on the machine to see what symbols are used on your machine. Cherries, lemons, bells, plums, etc. Then once you write down a list of what symbols, you then return to your reel bundle and you want to mark off on the reel what the symbols are. You don't want to write actually on the reel, so stick a strip of paper around all of your 4 reels. Let's just move this one out of the way. To work out the symbols on your reels, it's better to do it actually in the mechanism frame. And the first thing you need to do is to mark off where the winning pay line is. So you might want to slip it into the cabinet, see whereabouts on the reels that the centre line in the payout window is. So basically the centre line along here, you need to know what that is. Here's another one, so the centre line. So that's what you're marking. Now on your one you won't have any symbols, but just need to mark off where it is. Pull it out of the cabinet and put a marker on the mechanism. Now I've just put a bit of tape here. This little green line here tells me that's the winning line. So if I just put a screwdriver along here, so that's my winning line. That's all I need to know. You then need to put some strips of paper on, because you don't want to write onto your metal rims. So put strips of paper around all your reels. Now obviously you'll have 4 reels rather than 3, and you won't have any symbols on them as I've got on this demo. But stick some paper around there on all 4 reels. Run the mechanism, but stop the fan from completing its cycle. That way you can freely spin the reels. We're then going to turn our attention to the payout fingers, which are here. Now remember that the payout finger at this end is for the low payouts, as this goes into the holes on the outer perimeter of the pay disc. So this, in this situation, would be a cherry, the next one would be an orange, the next one would be a plum, a bell, and so on and so forth. Now you may have more or less the same fingers, the quantity, but make sure that you've made a note of the symbols from your award card on the cabinet. So once you know what your symbols are, such as cherries, bells, melons, plums, etc. Now you know those, you also know that from the outer perimeter to the inside of these discs, you've got the low payout, the cherries, to the jackpots in the middle. We're going to concentrate on just marking off the cherries on disc 1 and reel 1. Now what I'm doing here is going to spin the reels. What I'm looking for here is a hole through the disc. As I go through, there's one just there. Okay, I'm going to lock this catch in, and you'll see that as I push this first finger, it goes through the hole in the disc. So at this point here, I know that on my winning line is a cherry. So this is what we do. There's my winning pay line there. I now know that there's a cherry in that position. I then spin the reel again to find the next cherry. And it's there. Now I've already marked that one off. We spin around again. There's the next cherry. So I've now marked off all of the cherries on that first reel. We now come to the disc, and the second finger on this machine would be the next payout, which in this case is the orange. So this needs to be able to go through the disc, and that will be the second set of holes inwards on here. There you can see the second fingering goes through the hole as an orange. Now continue this way of rotating Now there's another orange there. So I can mark that one off too. You'll notice that I've taken these springs off of these. It makes it a lot easier to push these in. And you continue on this until you've done all of the symbols to cater for all of these various holes. And you'll have your strip filled with letters, which is what I'm going to do now. Okay, I've now done the first reel, and let me just pull this off. And I just want to make sure that it all lines up, just to prove that it does actually work. And you'll see there's a cherry, there's a bar, a plum, orange, bell, orange, plum, cherry, and so on, so forth. So that works, and we've done the first reel. You repeat the same with the second one. Now the second, the third and your fourth one will be a little bit harder, because what you need to do is set your first reel so there's a hole for a cherry, such as here. Push the finger through. Just put a slight pressure on that as you then rotate the second reel, this one here where my finger is, and push it around until this finger drops through the second disc. That will tell you that it's got a cherry hole at that point. And you continue going through in this order. When you're setting up the orange, you set the first reel to the orange, so there's a hole lined up like that. I then put a little bit of pressure on that and spin the second reel. There, you'll hear it's gone through the second disc. And let's just see if that is correct. Okay, so that's now gone through 2 discs. If I go around the front, there should be 2 oranges in the first 2 reels. And there you can see orange and orange. So with your white strips on there, you can mark off those. It is a very tedious task, but it will give you the complete running order, and you can then just print off the reel strips and put them into place on there. Okay, so it's all to do with the fingers going through the holes. I hope that kind of helps. It's easier to do than it is to explain, but that will give you a starting point as to how you can discover what symbols are on each reel just by the holes on the sides.